What is going on, everyone? Commodore Laz here. Today we're getting to another One Piece manga discussion. Today we'll be talking about the Wano Country Arc Act 2 predictions. And with the conclusion of Act 1, which was chapters 909 through 924, roughly 15 chapters for the introduction act of Wano, I think it's a good time to talk about the second act, which will be the setup / rising action of Wano. So with the way that Oda is now explaining things and the fact that it's going to be done in the form of a play, and normally plays have like 5 acts, which are your introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and I'm going to call this one resolution for the last one because I know the true word for it is denouement. So it's a French word, I can't pronounce it. So I'm going to go with resolution, which makes a little bit more sense for this whole video. But we're talking about the setup, what I think is going to be going down exactly, all the things to prepare us for what's going to go down in 2 weeks time in the One Piece story for the actual fire festival, Onigashima, the battles and stuff to take place. But let's talk about the chapter length. How long do I see this being? Because we know that acts 2 through 4 normally in plays are supposed to be like really quick. They go into like dive into the meat of things right away. And I can see this being at least 10 chapters. I can see this being from chapters 925 when we start up next week up until chapter 935. So that's how I can see things going down. 10 chapters at least. Roughly, if we're to start up now, it'll be next week. We go into like, end of November right now to kick things off. And then we would conclude things sometime, maybe the end of February, maybe the beginning of March most likely. So I could see something like that happening for the length of stuff. 10 chapters kind of give us our setup for what's going to go down afterwards in Onigashima. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about some of the predictions of the things and events that we could see going down during the second act of Wano. And the first one I'm going to kind of get out of the way, but kind of explain a little bit of how I could see things through my own perspective. And of course, we know the Alliance is going to be, going out of their way to try and enlist more people who have the moon crescent marks on the left foot of the people who will be actually willing to help them out during their crisis. And I see this working out is that they're going to be split up in different regions. Kind of what Denouement was talking about, is that we're going to split up, and try and get as many people as you can who have these marks to join up with us. And I think this would be really good too to kind of expand Wano a bit because of the fact that we really only got to see like the flower capital, we only got to see Curry, Okobore town, Bakura town, all that kind of stuff. I feel like we're still due to see a lot more of Wano, and I think this would be a good way to kind of expand the region itself and to show like how massive the island is, especially if we have, let's say, Sanji in one area because he's going to be doing his cooking and passing out the flyers and stuff to try and recruit people. We have Usopp doing his current work right now as a toad oil merchant in the flower capital. We have Robin working as a geisha trying to get an audience in with Lord Orochi. We have Frankie trying to get the blueprint details from Minatomo for Kaido's mansion in Onigashima. And then we have afterwards the stuff with Brook that's going to try and obtain some food supplies in the flower capital because of his ability with his soul and stuff. So everyone currently right now has something going on for them. So I could definitely see that happening where everyone's going to go their separate ways afterwards. They're going to be stationed off in different regions in Wano, and that's what they're going to be doing. They're trying to recruit the people during that time. So maybe, once in a while we'll kind of see them in different parts of the chapters within these 10 chapters, kind of see exactly them, enlisting people from time to time. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the introductions. In terms of characters we did not get to see in the first act of Wano. Characters, of course, like, Orochi. I'm very surprised we didn't get to see him in the first act since, it's kind of set up the characters who are going to have a big integral role in the actual arc itself. And it's not to say that, Orochi is kind of like, second tier, he's just really below in terms of importance. He still is important because of the fact that they need to liberate Wano, try and open the borders and everything. He still has a big role to play in this. So I definitely do see that Orochi is going to be kind of introduced here. Maybe we get to see something in regards to maybe his henchmen, or kind of similar if you guys have read Rurouni Kenshin, because you know that Oda had worked as an assistant to Watsuki, the mangaka, for Rurouni Kenshin. Let's say, for example, Orochi is that more of a political figure more than a fighter. I do hope he is a fighter, but say he is a political figure kind of guy. Or he's kind of like similar to Makoto Shishio, is that he has his own cabinet, or kind of like people that he has as like top swordsmen, his henchmen, that kind of stuff. So maybe we get to see that, they have like their own cursed blades and that kind of stuff. So maybe we get to see them. Most likely we're going to end up seeing, Kawamatsu and Denjiro. And I'm going to kind of talk about them a little bit afterwards for one of my next predictions. So I'll save them from after. And then, of course, getting to see, hopefully the other disasters of Kaido's crew. The people that we think, King and Queen, whoever the other ones that have the same rank that Jack has. And one character I am banking on that we're going to see most likely is Lady Hiyori. And I can see her being shown during Robin's portion in this setup arc, because I could see this where Robin is going to be trying to get an audience and stuff with Lord Orochi and everything, and I could see that because of the fact that we know Hiyori her status was kind of unknown after the events what happened, you know, 20 years ago with Lady Toki pushing, you know, Kinemon, Kanjuro, Raizo, and then her brother Momonosuke into the future. By this time right now, she's at least between the ages of 24 to 28. And most likely she's working as a geisha, or she's probably close by with Orochi and stuff. I could definitely see Robin's gonna end up, you know, meeting up with her, you know, finding out exactly that she has a connection to Momonosuke and stuff. And then it comes down to two things, because regards to, like, you know, her mission to, you know, getting close to Orochi, but also of course her big mission as well is to get the rubbings for the poneglyph and stuff. I do see something where she's going to probably work with, you know, Lady Hiyori, maybe try and get her out and try and get her back with the Alliance, or maybe there's something that happens afterwards where she tries to maybe use her to kind of get more information out of Orochi and stuff, since she's probably closer to him, since the fact that she's probably been there for maybe 20 some years working under him or working beside him or something. Who knows, maybe she's the actual girl and stuff that we saw that was teaching the kids and everything. That might be her, so who knows. But I could see something where Robin is actually going to be seeing her at some point in time. They have a conversation or so, and they kind of talk about, you know, what is going on exactly with Orochi, you know, if he's hiding things, you know, there's information that they need to keep track of. And then afterwards, when all that's done, Robin heads back, maybe with Hiyori, or maybe Hiyori stays there, kind of as, like, you know, the information broker and stuff for her. Another prediction I want to make as well is that we're going to actually see the layout of Onigashima, since the fact that we know that Kaido is going to be set to head back right now to his own island and stuff, you know, go back, get drunk and everything. I think it'd be really fitting to get to see what Onigashima looks like. I mean, it's most likely that it looks like that wintry island that we saw that Drake was at when he was trying to go and find Kaido after Doflamingo's defeat. So most likely I could see that being the case scenario where we actually get to see the layout of Onigashima, and then eventually, you know, when the Straw Hats and the rest of the Alliance end up making their way to there, we get like the full scale thing of it. But I do definitely think that we're going to see at least what Onigashima looks like at some point in time within these 10 chapters. And speaking of Kaido, I see something kind of similar to what we got with Big Mom and Judge way back in Whole Cake Island, in regards to, you know, how Big Mom was trying to forge an alliance with them and then ended up betraying them. I could see something going down with Kaido and Orochi, because we know for a fact that Kaido, the reason he's there in Wano is because he wanted information regarding, you know, Odin, whatever secret he had regarding Raftel. I could see it being two things, because one, he was trying to get Momonosuke because the fact that, you know, he was the son of Odin, he probably had information in regards to something about Raftel. But if there is, for whatever reason, a second thing that's there, maybe, you know, Odin left behind the rope poneglyph and stuff, you know, in the Flower Capital, and it's in possession of, you know, Orochi, or maybe there's a document or such, you know, in regards to Raftel that maybe that Kaido knows about, and maybe the reason why they're having this fire festival in the first place, even though it seems like a celebration stuff for them to just have a good time, whatever, they're going to maybe use that as a way to kill off Orochi and his men. That way they have no problem whatsoever going into Wano afterwards, taking what they need, whatever is the information that Odin left behind. So I could see something like that happen. Maybe something similar to, maybe we get our Red Wedding that we thought was going to actually go down during Whole Cake Island. I think that would be something that would be really cool to see go down, as that Kaido actually is planning to betray them. Because kind of going back to what Robin said in Punk Hazard, a lot of these pirate alliances do end up in betrayal, and I could end up seeing that happening, considering the fact that Kaido being a pirate, there's no way I can see him sticking around with Orochi for any longer, considering the fact that there is something of value that he wants. I could definitely see that going down. My next prediction afterwards is in regards to Luffy, Kid, and whoever the third person that's in the jail cell with them currently, breaking out of prison either by force or getting help from Zoro, Killer, and maybe one of the two, Kawamatsu or Denjiro, because I wanted to talk about those two a little bit more, Kawamatsu and Denjiro, and I can see definitely one of the two actually being in the prison cell, and one of the other two afterwards, you know, meeting up with Zoro. Because with Zoro, we currently know that he's kind of out right now on a boat eating wasabi, kind of doing his own thing right now. But I could see something where he ends up running into Killer, considering the fact that we haven't gotten to see him thus far within Wano. We didn't get to see him right beside Kid. So most likely he escaped. He's maybe in hiding in some other region. That's where Zoro's probably going to be at. And who knows, maybe he ends up running into Kawamatsu or Denjiro. And then we get to see Luffy and Kid afterwards meeting up with one of the other two. And then afterwards, they break into the prison afterwards to go and get them out. Maybe, you know, Luffy, Kid, and whoever the other third person is, ends up breaking out of the cell by force. They do something afterwards. And then they end up regrouping afterwards with the rest of the Alliance. So I could see that going down within the second act, because they're going to need to gather as much people as they can to make the raid at Onigashima. And they can't do that with Luffy in prison. Just, there's no way. Now, another prediction that I have here, and this is in regards to Basil Hawkins, because I just got to put this out here, okay? Basil Hawkins, to me, is like the Doctor Strange of One Piece. This guy has, you know, 14 million futures or probabilities that he sees, and there's probably one right now that he sees currently, and it has to involve law. Because ever since Chapter 911, I have been really in a weird vibe feeling when it comes to Hawkins, because you know, we got revealed that he was a headliner. You know, he knew that somebody was on the island and stuff during the time, you know, when Luffy had, you know, made his way to Wano. He didn't relay any of the information afterwards to Kaido. You know, when he was chasing down Luffy and Zoro afterwards, he didn't bother chasing them after they had escaped and stuff, and said, don't worry about it. And then the stuff with Law, not only once, but twice, that Law has escaped and he hasn't gone after him. And now that we know that Law's kind of stuck in a bind right now, where it's like he wants to make sure that, you know, Beppo and the rest of the crew and the Alliance are safe, but at the same time, he can't let Luffy be in prison by himself. So we probably know he's going to do something to try and, you know, go and get Luffy afterwards. But I could see this being the chance where Basil Hawkins was telling some of his men that he's going to go and try and get Law. I could see something where he's going to break some form of deal with them and try and, you know, join up with them in the Alliance in exchange for a favor. And I think that favor most likely being that if Kaido were to fall at some point in Wano, the title of a Yonko being up for grabs, I can definitely see Hawkins saying that he wants to gain the majority of the fame. He wants to gain, you know, the majority of the, I guess, like the rewards or the honor and stuff for taking down Kaido. I could see that possibly being a thing where Hawkins is going to try and work around with Law and, you know, make some form of alliance with them, with the rest of the group and stuff. And maybe that's probably what's going to end up happening, because honestly, Hawkins is such a weird case right now where we really don't know what his scheme is. We know that there's something up with them, but we don't know exactly what he really is up to. But I could definitely see something where Hawkins is going to end up trying to interact with Law, form some kind of plan with him whatsoever, and maybe, you know, this is where we see him double-crossing Kaido and end up joining up with the Alliance afterwards. And as we know, of course, with the Fire Festival, 2 weeks have already passed, you know, during that time. That means Reverie has already concluded. And I can see something happening within a chapter or two, possibly maybe it's just a chapter itself, that we're going to tail back to Reverie, see whatever had happened exactly, you know, the meetings all being concluded and stuff, Green Bull and Fujitora heading right back afterwards to Marine HQ, and then maybe they end up planning something afterwards where they're going to try and make a launch towards Wano. But the way I see things going down is that if they're going to make an attack on Wano, is because something is about to go down. And I could definitely see something here where Luffy's Reverie card is actually going to come into play and start to, you know, have that burning effect where his life is in danger. And that's where I could see that the Grand Fleet themselves is going to be making their way afterwards to Wano in hopes of trying to save Luffy. And because we know for a fact that information from Wano is not going to be easy to go and put out into the open world because of what Kaido had said. We don't want anyone to know what's going on, the events over here, pirates, you know, anything in the outside world. We don't want any of that information being leaked out. I could definitely see something where if the Grand Fleet makes enough noise where they're going to be heading off afterwards to Wano, the Marines are going to be tipped off because of that. We know for a fact that Big Mom is going to be making her way to Wano. We know that things are about to go down. This might be the perfect time for the Marines to make an attack. Who knows, maybe even in themselves. Or it's probably, you know, saying about the whole cleansing that's going to be going down. Maybe this is their way of saying, you know what, let's send the Marines over right now, straight to Wano, take care of the business that's going on over there. You know, if we get all these big name people, these big fishes and stuff all together, we can just strike them down, take them out all in one shot. So I could see that being, you know, being taken care of, you know, with Reverie kind of concluding, you know, all the Marines coming back together, Akainu making an attack straight forward, straight to Wano under orders of M, maybe his own orders, but I could see that going down. And to conclude Act 2, this is how I can see things for the final chapter, which would be chapter 935, is that we're going to see, you know, Luffy, Kid, you know, Kawamatsu, Denjiro, whoever it is, you know, Zoro, Killer, and the other person that's there, you know, gathering all together with the rest of the Alliance, with Law, with Hawkins and all those people together, you know, enlisted with all the people that they were able to recruit from different regions of Wano, coming all together, stationing themselves on boats and heading off straight to Onigashima to get ready for the big battle against the Beast Pirates and trying to take down Kaido, Orochi, all those people. I can definitely see that being the last thing that can go down during the second act of Wano. So that's pretty much going to conclude all the predictions that I have for the second act of Wano, all the things that I can see going down during the second act. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Let me know if there's anything of importance that I didn't talk about in regards to the setup of Act 2 of Wano that I didn't talk about in this video that you want to leave down in the comment section below. Feel free to do so. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here, and I will catch you guys for chapter 925 or the start of Act 2 of the Wano Country Arc in One Piece. So, Commodore Laz signing off. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care.